What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Oh, good old voices as well, man.
Yeah. Wow. That felt like a throwback. Huh?
Yeah,
Almost like a throwback. like when watching Roger Federer win his like Grand Slam like 5 years after he hasn't won a Grand Slam.
You're saying me saying thrice weekly, or your voice sounding less like you ran sandpaper through it?
Everything plus just saying good old humor rather than apologizing for not doing enough podcasts and all that.
Yeah, but I'm sure people who listen to the last podcast can tell a significant difference in your voice. But maybe you can just give people a little peek into what the fuck was going on the last week.
No, the larger things that I've been 3 months since my kids started going to school. I've been dealing with one like virus and one bug after another. The last 2 weeks has just been, it was concentrated in this like crazy battle, high fever, tonsillitis, sore throat, cough, everything. I went through everything lah. Basically, I saw the what was the term that we used in screenwriting? The third act, when the gauntlet of death, is it?
The gauntlet of death, yeah, correct.
Yeah, something like that lah. Basically, I reached that point and now it's the end. I'm hoping that's where the end already lah.
I mean, even though you said that very same speech, I think a few weeks ago before your last bout, so fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, now it's good to be doing a podcast at the start of the week again at regular timing and talking about news and just news.
Yeah, and news that's like rocking the world. Everyone's talking about it.
Yeah, I've been so itchy. In fact, I've been holding off talking to my friends about this because I wanted to save it for the podcast. So it's going to be a release.
Oh, that's like saving it. You're like saving it for me.
I'm like, no, guys, I cannot talk about this because I need to talk about this with Terrence and our audience. Yeah,
to our audience, really. I think there's even interest already, right? In the, even our subreddit, people are already like, hey, let's talk about this.
Yeah, and I mean, we need a bit more time to research today also because it's a huge fucking thing. But
huge topic,
yeah. Before that, what are we plugging, my friend?
I think because you know how algorithms work, lah, and Spotify being the main capsule through which a lot of people listen to our podcast, I think it's important to we need to the fact that we've been sort of like in and out the last couple of weeks, like makes our discoverability a bit tougher, lah.
Yeah.
I'm very glad people were listening to our old episodes or checking our sponsored episodes that we did and all that, but just wanting to get back on the regular track and just making sure that the discoverability of our podcast is still there. What do we want people to do?
It'd be just helpful if you could give a rating to this podcast wherever you listen to, if there is a way to rate it. I know Apple has the 1 to 5 star, Spotify has the 1 to 5 star. I mean, even if it means sharing it with someone who might not have listened to us before, that would be much appreciated.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we're getting back on our feet again, lah, right?
Yeah. Getting back on our feet, getting our throats back on track.
Yeah, it will help a lot in the whole process.
Cool. Okay, awesome. So, the first topic.
Let's jump right into it, man.
Yeah, just jump right. I think if you haven't heard about the kerfuffle that has been emanating from the US, then you need to update your social news feed, man.
Yeah.
But it is the topic about the Supreme Court in the US overturning Roe versus Wade.
Yes.
Yeah, which in and of itself sounds like a weird sentence, but there is so much history. Like, holy shit, there is so much history.
But I mean, in the broader general public, in the headlines, what would you generally be, or what have people generally been saying, as in reading? Well, what does this Roe v. Wade actually mean for the US, lah?
It just means that the constitutional right to an abortion is no longer a right. at the country level of the US, and it's now up to the individual states to decide whether or not they legalize or make abortion illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's a very big deal because it's been almost 50 years since the ruling that abortion is a constitutional right, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and for it to be overturned now is there are very few times that like such huge or I don't even know if there's any precedent at all where such a huge decision was made in the Supreme Courts already.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot to unpack. I think initially there were already people saying that, okay, abortion is going to be illegal in the US, or the US is going to ban abortion. That is not factually the most accurate, and we will get into the reasons why. So maybe to start, shall I just do a high level history of Roe versus Wade?
Can. This is your time
forte,
to shine. This is your
time to shine.
You know, last time there's always like the history class or what the teacher asks who has read up on the topic already. Can there one student please volunteer and just give us a summary? You're the student that seated the first or second row.
Yeah, me.
Raise hand.
Me, ma'am. I read.
Please, this is your chance. Go, please.
Okay, so abortion has always been a polarizing thing in the US, and I guess around the world. It just going way back, even in 1821, Connecticut became the first state in the US to make abortions illegal. So since then, right, from 1821, every major development, there were a lot of developments that kind of were against abortion. There was campaigning that carried on by doctors in the 1900s to make abortion illegal across the entire US by the 1900s. 1921 was the founding of the American Birth Control League. Sounds like a fucking football competition or something. But it became the Planned Parenthood organization, which we now have heard of. Then 1950 abortions there were more medical advancements. So it wasn't just something in the stratosphere that it wasn't the most accessible. But because there were different ways of doing it, there was like a black market of abortions being for the US because it was generally illegal. And then in the 60s, there was a resurgence under President John F. Kennedy. And then there was more of the equal rights movement, and there was more lobbying for legal access to abortion, and that became a goal for the activists. And then Colorado, 1967, they decriminalized abortion for cases of rape, incest, and where pregnancy or giving birth would put the mother in danger. So, then 1970, Hawaii becomes the first state to fully legalize abortions. And there was there was already a movement happening in the 70s, but the case for Roe versus Wade was monumental because it happened in Texas, and essentially Jane Roe, who is actually not the mother's real name, and we can get into that also. She was suing the state of Texas for the law that made abortions illegal except in cases where it threatened the life of the mother. And over the next 2 years, the Supreme Court fought it. And in the end, they said, okay, we will uphold a constitutional right to get an abortion. And then after that, there were a bunch of different developments. There was a bunch of cases that tried to fight against it. And I think Roe versus Wade was always held as okay, they were referred to, and the cases in the past 20, 30 years always referred to that. And generally, that Roe versus Wade was the benchmark, that was the guiding light. So now, over the past 1 or 2 years, there's apparently been a lot happening in the behind closed doors about overturning this. And now the Supreme Court voted, I think 7-2 in favor of overturning it. Means they are fucking rolling back the laws to pre-Roe versus Wade, which is 1970s. And I would like broadly, what happened previously was that across the US, there was a constitutional right to get an abortion. Even those states in Texas, they did have certain things that kind of made it harder to get an abortion. Like your abortion clinic needs to meet these standards and some ridiculous standards, which put a lot of them out of business. But like as a woman, you could still argue that, okay, it is my right. Now, the US, the Supreme Court is saying, okay, we're leaving it to the states, and we all know the states in the US, some are very conservative, some lean very right, versus some lean very left.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and I think they actually voted 5-4 to overturn.
5-4. Holy shit!
yeah.
When I get 7-2, 5-4.
Yeah,
Yes, 5-4.
to overturn Roe v. Wade lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 7-2 was back in 1973. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. 5-4. So when what was your awareness of this thing even being on the brink of overturning before the past weekend?
No, I think there was a leak of what the justices were planning to do already in May. So there had already been, I think, a lot of discussion and protests and building up towards this. People weren't 100% sure, but it seemed to be the case. And I think the rumblings over the last few years, especially under Trump, was that they were because ultimately in the US, the Supreme Court is not the judges are not elected right? They're actually selected for a lifetime term by the sitting president of the United States. That means they just basically wait until someone retires or dies, then the president gets to name someone to replace that person. So depending on whether it's a conservative or a Democratic president or what, then they will put in someone who probably has closer political leanings to their own party, right? So during Trump's time, I think there were a couple contentious names, but they were obviously putting in more conservative leaning judges, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about them being conservative or more liberal, but at the end of the day, they're supposed to appear impartial as the judicial system, as the overseeing the whole judicial system, right?
Yeah.
So they're not supposed to be so blatantly
opinionated
and political about it. So there is this term that is being thrown around a lot called stare decisis or something like that. I don't know if you've come across it. Stare decisis.
Employ my expert pronunciation skills to say it.
Yeah, stare decisis is literally translated to stand by decided things.
Oh, shit.
Where it's a general, I wouldn't say it's a rule, but generally the Supreme Court justices have all stood by stare decisis, which means that if whatever has been decided before, right, you generally don't go and overturn it unless it's a really egregious thing, like life and death kind of thing. And you generally don't go backwards and go and overturn old decisions saying that, they made such bad mistakes. And especially over time, as more and more of society and science catches up with everything. Like, for example, science showing that abortion can be safe and can help to save a lot of mothers' lives and all that, right? There's the science on the ground now, since that we've had 50 years of it going on.
Yeah.
So it's not for the court to suddenly just turn around and say, because we are conservatives and we believe we're pro-life and everything, we're gonna change everything. So there needs to be the appearance of this stare decisis, where they stand by the precedents that have been decided before. And that's why I think that's why if you ask the legal scholars or commentators or analysts about this is why this is very shocking, because it seems like they've basically thrown this tradition out the window, and they're very blatantly just saying that, okay, that was such a terrible decision made 50 years ago, and in spite of everything that has happened since then, in spite of all the other rulings that have reinforced what it was and all that, we're just throwing this out, and we're being very blatant about we're not going to care what people think about us.
But there's also, are you saying that they are saying that, how can the Supreme Court go against this stare decisis, because that's the pillar of the legal system and all that?
No. It's just it's a very delicate balance, right? Like when you are voted in the office, obviously people expect you to be fair, especially as a judge. They expect you to be fair, impartial. But as any human being, you will have biases, right?
Yeah.
You will have your thoughts about religion. You will have your thoughts about abortion and pro-life leanings and everything. So the idea is that you need to appear impartial, right?
Yeah.
You need to find ways to argue for your opinion without sounding like you are just a political tool, that was put in place by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So I think what is very shocking about this is like they seem like they don't care anymore. They seem like they don't care that the institution seems very politicized. That a lot of people will be like thrown off by this ruling of theirs, and that I mean, we have 50 years of this already, right? So now suddenly everything there'll be a lot of changes state by state, lah. In
Yeah.
terms of how they're gonna handle abortion
So
going forward, lor.
so what you're saying is that it's more surprising than wrong lah. Because okay, let's say even in Singapore with this whole repeal 377A and all, it's something that has been ruled one way in the past, but things do change, right? Things do get overturned, right? Right.
Yeah. So generally they do get overturned in the direction of liberalization. You know, if you look at anything, whether it's women's rights and or emancipation of slaves and everything, generally it's overturned in the direction of in history, it's overturned in the direction of more and more liberal freedoms, right? Because science and all that and decreased religiosity in the population and all that catches up, right?
Yeah.
So that in general it goes in that direction. So but this one is going backwards and saying we're going back 50 years and saying that they made such a bad decision 50 years ago lah. And then we need to go back, to what it was before 1973.
Yeah. And I guess that is what is surprising lah, because the one thing that if you look at the statements from okay, so this is by and large more Republican than Democrat, right? There's no two ways about it, right?
What do you mean?
As in this pro-life versus pro-choice, it is divided that way, lah, right?
Yeah, I say conservatives and liberals, lah. Yeah.
No, because
conservatives and liberals.
Because that's where then it becomes confusing, right? Because in the US political system, it is not conservatives against the liberals; it's Republicans against Democrats, lah, right?
That's that's the names of the parties, lah. But if you ask what they generally stand for,
oh, you mean
Republicans?
Okay.
They stand for more conservative values and everything, but Democrats a bit more liberal, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I will still refer to them as Republicans, because then you have Republican senators and Republican individuals, whereas the conservative and liberals is more like the philosophy or the values behind the policies, right?
No, but the judges are not based on. Then you can't say the Republican judge or Democratic judge.
I was going to say the senators. Because,
yeah.
Because the one thing that I've seen the senators who are now on interview are saying it's the best day ever, and it's all like, one thing I hear is that it's for the safety of the mother, the safety of the woman. But like what you said, right, there are so many advancements in science, and now I think the statistics of something going wrong during an abortion is like less than 0.007% or even less than that. So it feels like you hear this, you're like, oh shit, it's weird that they are rolling back that way. Also because there's no mention in the Constitution of anything about exceptions, lah. The exceptions are all down to the states, right? And I think certain states like Texas already has a trigger law which is going to kick into effect, which does not exclude pregnancies due to rape or incest, lah. And if you see the videos of the people who are on the streets celebrating, right? Even Trump himself, he was at a rally saying this is the best thing for life in the past 30 years or something. So there's always this thing about, okay, it's pro-life, I've seen people say this is the day to avenge the deaths of 60 million children who have been lost since 1973 due to abortion. Then you listen to it, you're like, oh shit, this thing is so fucking deep, because on one hand, there's the pro-life is all about, okay, once there's conception, there is life, right? And I think even before this policy, I think late-term abortions are still illegal in the US. I think the cap is 15 weeks, right? And it's not say it's so conservative. In Germany, it's 12 weeks.
Mm.
I'm not so sure what the law is in Singapore, but I'm pretty sure in most countries, if you're 8 months pregnant, you can't abort, lah, right? So it's more
Correct.
about finding okay, where is the general consensus that okay, this is now a child, lah, as opposed to just like a mass of cells. But with this ruling, it feels like there are certain states that would just go all out saying and banning abortion no matter what, lah.
So we've been super in the weeds, like
Yeah.
talking like we're very knowledgeable commentators about American politics. I just want to caveat that everything we know is also stuff we've been reading up and trying to understand ourselves, which everyone should try to, like, if you're actually really interested in the topic. But I mean, I guess the important thing is why are people in Singapore even caring about this? Because it doesn't affect them so much, right? So I mean, I already got some people like when I met them over the weekend, they're like, "Oh my God, America banned abortion! How that's totally unbelievable." So is that accurate? Is that accurate statement to say that?
I don't think that's accurate, because that was my initial stance as well. I was like, fuck, America bans abortion. And yeah, then a few people pointed out, and I also realized, oh shit, it's not an outright ban.
It's just basically they pushed it from countrywide constitutional right. They've made it a state by state. You all have to go and legislate and make your own decisions about it.
Yeah.
And apparently, I think the overwhelming, I will not say overwhelming, about half, 26 states, abortion is going to become illegal.
Yeah.
In some shape or form in the US, right?
So, yeah. So then the question is that so bad? Right.
So that's the follow-up question. So that means that if you get pregnant and you really want to have abortion, you can always just travel out of state, which is a bit like going from Singapore to, I don't know, JB or KL or what, to get an abortion, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you're in Oklahoma, which is very conservative, and you cannot get abortion. Then maybe you just take a flight to New York and do it there,
Yeah. I mean, it's not further distances, lah. That's one thing.
It is further distances.
It's further distance. You want to drive, it takes fucking hours, lah. Right?
But it's still same country.
It's still same country. It's still same country. So
what's the big deal there? Why are people so upset about that though?
I think because it still means that you're gonna need to take it's gonna cost to go somewhere else. You're gonna need time, you're gonna need access to find even a clinic. And with less clinics available, there's gonna be something's gotta give, either you have to wait longer, right? And so fully, if you haven't noticed yet, we're two dudes who will never get pregnant in our lives, but just speaking from
I'm a dad.
You're a dad, yeah. Okay.
So I do understand some of the how tricky it can be,
Yeah. So it feels like the downside of this is going to be borne by the people who are maybe not able to fly to another country to get an abortion, and if you're in a state that bans abortion, and if you're working and you need time off to go get an abortion, can you imagine telling your boss like, "Yo, I need to take leave because I want to go get an abortion"? They'd be like, "Yo, man, it's banned in our country," and the punishment is severe. I think for a doctor who carries out an abortion in one of these states, it could be life imprisonment.
It's a felony.
It's a felony.
Because a felony to conduct an abortion, unless it's really you're talking about saving the mother's life and death kind of thing.
It's a felony, and I think so certain things that I read that are more speculative, admittedly, but hearing the more left-leaning politicians like AOC, Elizabeth Warren, talking, they are saying that if you listen to some of the speeches by Republican senators, they're saying that, okay, this is just the beginning. We still have so much more work to do. And by virtue of the current Supreme Court overturning a landmark case that was done 50 years ago, then the question is, what else can they overturn?
Yeah.
What else, lah? That's still speculative. Who knows what the fuck is going on behind closed doors? But you can't help but wonder, like, oh shit. If they're reversing this, what else can they reverse, lah?
Yeah. So I think just building on what you said, I think the big concern is people who don't have the resources to travel out of state to do an abortion. A lot of times they're actually the ones who need to as well, right? Because of financial difficulty, financial circumstances as well. So they it's you're denying access, easy access for them, lah, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you're talking about for example, I've seen statistics where in certain states, like black for black mothers, right? The the is disproportionate, the number of black mothers who die during pregnancy or die during delivering a baby, compared to the number of actual pregnant black mothers that are in the state. Or just pregnant women that are in the state lah. So it's just for because of demographics and the different circumstances for different types of people, access to abortion is a very real problem lah, for some of them. So it's not even an issue about are you pro-life or are you pro-death. It's just like it'll just so fundamentally affect you and your lifestyle that it could literally kill you lah, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the major arguments going against about this lah, from that you will hear from probably more liberal, more left-leaning media outlets as well. Because the right side, I think on the right, a lot of them are. If you hear a lot of the right commentators, they're saying, "Boo-hoo!" All you hear is all these leftists crying about Roe v. Wade, which was a terrible judgment to begin with, and now is being basically legislated by the individual states, which it should have been from the very start, and which it was in the process of doing, like what you said in Hawaii and everything, right?
Yeah.
So this is just it was the Supreme Court overstepping its boundaries, and now it's sort of like peddling it backwards, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you will hear a lot of right commentators saying, that the leftists are making too huge a fuss out of this whole thing, lah. And so the leftist counter would be what we just said about health, but but a bit more on a philosophical level, which I've been trying to understand as well, lah. Like what are the specific clauses or what are the specific points of Roe v. Wade, the case of Roe v. Wade that make it so important, is that I think Roe v. Wade basically, you can say it's kind of a backdoor kind of thing, but it used the right to privacy. It used the right to privacy as a backdoor of saying that abortion is a right to privacy as well, lah. The right to have an abortion is a right to your privacy, your own your own decision on how you want to conduct your affairs, lah. So they're saying that because of their right to privacy, therefore an abortion also is a woman's right to decide how she wants to construct a family and how her body what will happen to her body, lah, right?
Yeah.
So, and then subsequently, I think there were cases like there's another case that is the Planned Parenthood versus KC, which I believe they sort of reinforced what Roe v. Wade was, but this is in the early 90s. But I think if I'm not wrong, if I'm what I'm hearing and reading, is that it pushed, it further reinforced the right to abortion by saying that, what does it fundamentally mean, to be free in America? And part of that freedom is the freedom to, construct a family, to freedom to have a family, and therefore freedom to also decide how you want your family to be constructed, lah. Because that sounds completely like duh to us, lah. Because we're not from the US, but remember that at one point US was a very segregated society, lah, right?
Yeah.
Between whites and blacks. Don't even say between whites and blacks. Between slave owners and slaves, lah, right? And then slaves got their legal rights eventually and everything. But the point there is that they ask you what does it fundamentally mean to be a free person, lah. And so that's how even those subsequent court rulings basically say that to be a free person, you must have you should have the right to construct your family as you see fit as well, lah. So by removing this constitutional right to an abortion, it's everything else, like what you said, like contraception, the access to contraception, gay marriage, all these things can also, you think about it, they can also come under these same attacks, these same attacks from the, don't say attacks, the same arguments from the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of the legal scholars and of the left, everything are getting very freaked out by this decision.
But I thought your favorite argument is never the slippery slope argument. Then you never go and comment on all these videos. Hey, don't use the slippery slope argument lah.
Yeah, but I mean, in this judicial system, that's just how common law works lah. They have to look at legal precedents before they make judgments on the future or on future cases and all that, right?
Yeah, but
It's just. I mean, it's and apparently in one of the concurring opinions from the Supreme Court judges as well, they were very blatant that they are definitely going to look at all these other things next, lah. Yeah.
And I mean, it was also interesting. There's a video that someone compiled on YouTube that kind of showed what some of the elected justices, I think that the 3 justices that Trump installed during his presidency, what they said while they were kind of being interviewed about Roe versus Wade. And they were all saying, I mean, someone said, I think, that, it's been tested multiple times and it's stood the test of time. And then someone else, blah, blah. So basically, they were all kind of like not saying anything that is going to overturn. So when you watch that and then you look at what's happening now, it definitely feels like, oh shit. It feels like this is a more strategic move for the long term. And that is what is scary. And I think, like what you asked earlier, right? Why should Singaporeans care about this kind of shit? I mean, first of all, I think the US is still very, very influential. And in some way, you can imagine maybe, say, the anti-abortion folks in other countries seeing like, oh shit, that is possible. There's a playbook on how to do this. And then it goes down that path. But I mean, just watching and reading the news, my mind is so confused because on one hand, you hear the arguments of the people who are celebrating the fact that this got overturned, and all these supporters, they're like, today life prevails and all that. And when questioned about, okay, but what does it mean for mothers who have been raped or victims of incest or sexual harassment? Then the counterpoint that you hear, that I heard from some, is that then now the focus should be on making sure that no mother is left uncared for. No child is left uncared for. But it feels like, yo man, yeah, there's the system right now is broken, but doesn't mean that okay, now I think I can imagine what they're saying is that for the longest time we've had to fight about the killing of lives before children are born. Now that we're all in agreement that they shouldn't be killed, then we can focus on what to do with people who are growing up in surroundings that maybe not the best Which sounds like, holy shit, that's a tall order. And then, just reading the news the past few weeks, today the whole celebration is about how, lives are being saved, lives of children. It's for the sake of the children. But then the same Republicans, like 2 weeks ago, when there were 19 children who were shot dead in a primary school, when there was talk about, okay, why not we reduce guns so that this kind of shit doesn't happen, so that no more kids don't get killed. They're also like, yo, it's nothing to do with guns, man.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with guns. And then on one hand, you see like so much talk about gender equality in the media coming out from the US. And then for a case like this, it's like, okay, we want gender equality, but for women's rights when it comes to abortion, fuck that.
Yeah.
So it just feels damn confusing. And I think that is what is maybe shocking.
And I mean, a lot of people are literally calling out the hypocrisy of the Supreme Court, because I think like the day before, they also there was actually a Supreme Court decision on the allowing the allowing people to carry and conceal guns in specifically in the state of New York, and then they very vehemently said that we can't possibly leave this to to individual states to take care of, because it's such an important constitutional right, So they literally shot that down, and just said that it has to be decided at federal level.
And that's the thing that Biden signed, right? The bill, right?
Yeah. And then the next day, this Roe v. Wade thing comes out, and then it's like, this one shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be. shouldn't be the court to do this kind of thing. You know, we are overstepping our boundaries, and like yeah, when it comes to abortion, we're overstepping our boundaries. You know, but when it comes to guns and all that, we totally will reinforce the federal constitutional right to bear arms and everything.
Yeah.
So, so it really tells you like, you know, as much as they say impartial, that it really you know, their personal biases really inform the decisions they make. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, then maybe you think like, oh, what is additional factor that maybe is not present in guns? And undeniably, religion is a part of this, right? And I think I'm not wrong to say that, right? Is that also ambiguous that, oh, is religion a part to play? No, it is like driven a lot by the evangelical religious people who believe that life starts at birth and it is God's will and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's also in the interesting thing here, right, is that there's still that battle going on. That battle will never cease, right, between pro-life versus pro-choice debaters. But the really shocking thing is how the Supreme Court has very firmly planted its flag already, and sort of washed itself of any of the 50 years of being on the side of pro-choice, so to speak. You know, and suddenly just erase this 50 years of precedent, and everyone's saying, okay, everything that has happened in 50 years, there's a chance that it might get overturned also, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what's very shocking for everyone. So I mean, ultimately, you know, you're not gonna. I think over time we are just. I mean, this is not one of those things that you're gonna hear. Is going to be in the news cycle for the next, next 3 months or anything like that. Eventually, people around the world will forget about it, because at the end of the day, in the US, you still can get abortion if you really wanted to get it. It's just on the ground. You'll start seeing a lot of you start hearing a lot more stories of difficulties of women getting an abortion and everything, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think like I think it's something that everybody should at least try and understand at a very high level, because this is one of those things that as you dig deeper, it is not just something that happened overnight. Like what you said, there was a leak in May. There was a TED Talk also that came out in December 2021 that was done by one of the lawyers from one of the cases in the 80s or 90s that referred to Roe versus Wade, where she said back then already, we need to accept the fact that Roe versus Wade will be repealed in the next year. It's going to happen. And then you go back 1 year before that, there's actually a documentary that was released on Hulu about Jane Roe, the one from Roe versus Wade. And you know, you said it had something to do with privacy, right? Yeah, because her real name is Norma McCorvey. And there was a clip where she was confessing on her deathbed that her stance, right? She's also a very controversial figure. She gave up her first 2 kids for abortion. She wanted to abort her 3rd child, but the ruling passed only 2 years later, so she still had the child. And that child is estranged. She's the daughter. There's also an interview with her on ABC News, and she never wanted to talk to her mom. But her mom, Jane Roe, real name Norma McCorvey, admitted on her deathbed that her change in stance, where she went from pro-choice during the time of the case to pro-life in 1995, where she publicly admitted that, you know, it was a horrible thing that I did and I regret, was all kind of orchestrated by lobbyists. And she said she was paid and she got a lot out of it, and it was all fake. So then you look at it, you're like, oh shit, man, this is not just a one thing that is overturned today or some chatter last year that it was going to be overturned. It's a huge fucking thing, and it's not going to stop here. It's not going to stop here.
Yeah. And I think, in parallel, there's these, on a side note, there's this January 6 hearings going on to determine whether Trump is criminally liable for instigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol building in the US and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I won't go into everything there, but I think one takeaway that I've had from just following a little bit about it and all is that actually in the US, a lot of these, a lot of things in the Constitution and the legal processes and all that. It seems so bureaucratic and there's so many steps and they seem enshrined in as an institution and all that, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a lot of them just boil down to their agreements between people, that this is how it's going to be conducted. And the thing about Trump was that he's just a guy who came in and said that, oh, this is how it's been conducted. Oh, I don't agree with it and I'm going to challenge it, And that has never been done in history before. So that's why everyone is they don't know what to do, right? Because there's never been someone who has come forward and challenged all these instructions and procedures and all that before. So procedurally, basically the US is sort of like they're scrambling to find answers to what happens when someone challenges this and all that. And then it just tells you that even in a country where it seems like democracy and the constitution is so revered and all that, right? A lot of it is still very malleable, and very dependent on almost like you almost require the people to be gentlemanly in order for the whole system to prop itself up, lah. And if they just decide to become, to behave like gangsters one day and just not follow the instructions and not follow, like what we said, convention or stare decisis and all that, right?
Yeah.
You can just overthrow everything, and everyone's like, oh, what the fuck? I didn't know that it could just be overthrown like that,
Wow, that makes the US sound like one big ass corporate MNC where you get the people who are like try not to say by the book, because I think the left also prides itself on like disrupting shit, right?
Yeah.
But it must almost it feels like it must almost be the perfect disruption done by this one hero who is the perfect candidate or the perfect president. Whereas on the right, they're like, okay, we don't care if this guy's a fucking asshole. He can have how many mistresses and all. If his value or her value is aligned with ours, did we go for them?
Yeah.
Right. Because in the US,
can get the popular support and everything.
Yeah. Whereas, I don't know, like the politicians on the left in the US all seem like they are popular, like they'll be the cool kids, They'll be the cool kids in school. But maybe we don't need the cool kids, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Walao eh. What a topic to start the week, man.
Yeah. Crazy times in the US.
Oh, and another thing that's interesting also, just to the last point, is that there's going to be midterm elections in the middle of the year. Right? So the silver lining I see to some of the people who predicted this Roe versus Wade being overturned, they say, okay, this might be the galvanizing thing that brings the Democrats together to get their shit together and actually kind of do better in the midterm elections, because there are a lot of Republicans who also don't agree with this thing.
Yeah.
Right. So the how you say the TV series that is American politics continues, lah.
Yeah, correct. Oh well. But I mean, in the spirit of giving something to people and then taking it back, our next story occurs in Singapore, but it's also along those same lines of giving something to people and then taking it back and then causing a huge ruckus.
It also involves a mother. Also involves
a mother. A mother's right to a balloon, I guess.
Correct. A balloon.
Yeah. What is this second story?
Whew, what a 180 turn.
Yeah.
With a very thin thread tying both stories together. But yes, nonetheless, it is the news of an insurance agent from AIA who was kind of called out on Facebook by a disgruntled mother because at a roadshow, the insurance agent apparently gave a balloon to her daughter. But then after he found out that the mom was not a suitable prospect for him, he took the balloon back.
Yeah.
He did a US Supreme Court and took the balloon back.
Yeah, from the child.
Correct. From the child. So I mean, then I was just surprised that there were multiple articles written about this and multiple forums and fucking other insurance agents chiming in on this. But basically, it all kind of like was the debate, Is the guy right to do that? Or is he wrong? Right.
Is it within the insurance agents? Can they just give gifts and after that take them back because the person is not as valuable to them as they thought, right?
Yeah, because the reality is or at least apparently for these kind of road shows, right? I mean, everyone has seen these kind of road shows. You're walking in the MRT or mall or something. There are people spread out in this one area where they invite you to come and get, I don't know, free consultation or something. But apparently the expenses for such road shows, so like the balloons and stuff, come out of the agent's expenses, like, the agent's own pockets.
Yeah.
So he's like, I fucking paid for this balloon. Your mom is not going to get my insurance. I'm going to take the fucking balloon back.
Yeah. So I mean, for those people who maybe might be thinking, actually, then why is the mother making such a big fuss of it, lah? Right? And isn't she the one being like a bit of a Karen, a very cheapskate and everything? The thing is that I think I do remember in her complaint she made a point that when you do that to a child, right? That means you give a child a balloon, especially a young child, say my son's age 2 to 3 thereabouts, right? You give them something, then after that you and then they're delighted with it, and then they think it's fantastic, a balloon and everything, right? It's the highlight of that day. Then the next moment suddenly you take it away from them, and for very valid reasons also, like, oh, maybe I give to the wrong person. That it can cause quite a lot of problems, because for the child, it's like they're still trying to understand a lot of these concepts of property and why who owns what and who deserves what, all that. So I'm not saying that it's going to scar the child. This is probably a bit of a stretch, but maybe the child will throw a tantrum, and then it ends up like making it very hard for the child to go to sleep that night. And for a parent, that's the worst thing possible, right? When you fuck up a child's day, and then because of that they can't sleep properly, and the parents also end up having a very, very long night, right? So do not underestimate the severity of what the insurance agent did also, lah. I'm not saying that it happened, but I'm saying that it could lead to a child throwing a tantrum or being very angry and not understanding why, and the parents having to deal with that fallout, lah.
But given the gravity of the first topic, maybe the agent was indirectly doing a child a service by teaching her early on that life is full of things that will be given to you and taken back.
I think don't need to teach so early, lah. You can teach
the earlier
your whole
better,
life. You got your whole life to learn that, lah.
We take
whole life to learn that.
Take a page from McDonald's. You start them early. You get them on your drugs, the Happy Meals and the chickens, to set them up for life, lah.
Yeah. But yeah,
you can imagine a mom in future just telling when the daughter has something else given to her and taken back, and the mom says, remember the balloon? Remember the story of the balloon? And she's like, yes, mother, I remember the balloon.
Yeah.
And I accept that, life is full of things that will be given to me and taken back. And this is yet just another page in this book that is constantly being written with each passing day.
And that is a completely imaginary interaction between a mother and a crying child who just had a balloon removed from them.
I can tell you thinking like, look at this fucking idiot. No child never had to deal with a child tantrum, acting like he knows so much. But you know what? I'm going to stand by that.
No, because it is admittedly new for me also, lah.
Yeah.
Just I studied it in psychology, but until you actually experience it with something, like, oh shit, man, like the concepts of yours and mine and why you can't have certain things now and all that. It takes time to learn, lah. It takes time to learn, and you can't blame a child for throwing a tantrum. It's not being spoiled or anything. They're just learning what it means, and it might be, you could say, you could give the tough medicine like what you're saying, like, oh, this is a lesson for you to learn. You could do that, but it should be on the parents' own time, as in they should be the ones deciding when they want to have that conversation, and not like because of a administrative screw up like this in this situation here, lah. But okay, that's it. Obviously I sound like I'm backing the parent a lot, lah. But do you think that the insurance agent did a dirty on the mother and child?
I mean, the insurance, okay, so this is one of those things that is a he say she say thing, and the parents said that like the agent said, sorry, I need to take back the balloon, and she took it from my daughter's hand. So and apparently there was a second agent that approached them with an elephant balloon, right? But by another agent who didn't know of the earlier counter. So I think, I think the agent kind of Your question was, do I think the agent was right or wrong? Is it?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
I think the agent, wow, uh, it, it, oh, I wouldn't say it's that. It's kind of. I'm on the fence, no, to be honest, because I still feel that if there was, I don't know how the agent communicated with the mom, because there's a difference between the agent just going and yanking it from the child, right?
Yeah.
But if the agent was more calm and more diplomatic with the mom first, I don't know. But to me, it's a lost opportunity by the agent. Because insurance, which is ultimately, if you're an insurance agent, it deals with a lot of personal relationships, right? And yeah, you might not get someone who might end up being your client, but everyone knows someone else,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think I always believe in that if you especially if you're doing sales and all that kind of thing, it's it's almost like a karmic kind of cycle, right?
yeah,
Like you don't just like only be nice to a person who's immediately useful to you. A lot of times you never know that person who's wearing the tattered jeans and tattered shorts and tattered t-shirt. He might be the richest guy in the room,
yeah. But
and,
do you
and
think?
and
What do you think about the agent?
like what you say, I think very short-sighted in some sense.
Yeah,
Like at the end of the day, maybe the mother for this particular roadshow is not your target audience and all that. But you give a balloon, you cuckoo with their children, play a little bit, then the next time you have a roadshow and it happens at this, a year later or something, this woman's walking by and she's looking to buy insurance for her child, for example. And she sees you, hey, hi, nice to see you again. And then she remembers the good interaction and she might ask for a recommendation or something.
yeah. So I mean,
And it's just, I think, just giving a balloon to a child is, at the end of the day, it's like, if you make them smile, you earn points in heaven also, right?
yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things that if it just feels like then your intentions, what that means, you don't really care about the child, you just want to talk to the mom, right?
Yeah.
Then it just feels like, yo man, you're just potentially turning off like a potential customer or referral, and
Yeah.
like if you're in sales, a lot of it is dealing with rejection. I mean, we have been rejected how many fucking times already? And of course it still hurts, but it feels like maybe that's a tactic, because after the first agent took the balloon, a second agent came and tried to give a balloon again.
Yeah. Hey, but then you're very privileged. You're thought, you don't know how much balloon, very expensive now. Okay, balloon plus the helium gas very expensive
Yeah,
now.
that's true.
Inflation, everything.
Balloon privilege.
So yeah. No, I mean, but then to me, it's still a balloon is still a very relatively cheap form of a gift lah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was something more like let's say like I don't know, a box of chocolates or something, then maybe I would be like, oh, okay.
Then you take back from the kid.
Yeah, that's pretty expensive. Sorry, I have to take it back lah.
So
I thought balloons still okay lah. I mean, how much? A few dollars max.
Maybe the penguin balloon was like some baller ass penguin balloon.
Oh yeah, it's one of those giant damn expensive balloons,
because
like
those
$30,
kind of balloons,
$40.
it's not just a regular balloon with helium. It might be shaped as a penguin.
Yeah.
Right. Because so that means, like, if you're saying, if you were walking with your kid and someone gave him a box of chocolates and then find out, oh, you're not profile, and he took back the chocolates, you would be a little more forgiving.
Yeah, probably because I don't think we have opened the chocolates to eat yet. And secondly, is I can understand lah. Okay lah, this it was an honest mistake, and this looks pretty expensive. It's probably part of your commission and everything also lah.
Or maybe maybe talk to you first and then figure out if you're the wrong profile and all. Then go on. If you're the right profile, then you give the balloon.
Or yeah, correct. Or even let's say, I'm sorry, this one was really only meant as a gift for people who sign up for the thing. If you want the balloon, I can sell it to you at cost price lah.
Fuck. Yeah,
but that'll probably be even worse lah, right?
Yeah.
But taking it back, I think from the child, that's the part where when the child's psyche also gets affected, then it's not nice lah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just feels like you read the Facebook post. Yeah, the person gave a penguin balloon to the kid, asked if she could ask the mother a few questions, asked a few questions to the mother. didn't fit the profile, and she said she needs to take back the balloon. She took it, and the mother was just standing there, and someone came with an elephant balloon. Walao,
Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, so it just feels like the tactics. But AI came out and apologized also, right? Because the post did get like 2,600 shares.
Yeah.
Right. So and the AI did say they have roadshow guidelines, but it just felt like interesting, this one. Interesting.
Yeah. Tough one. I guess in any kind of service industry, they are probably more ready for situations like this, lah, right?
Yeah.
Let's say for example, like air stewards or air stewardesses and all that. They every time there's a child on board, they usually get a bit more. Sometimes they get a welcome gift or something like that, lah, right? And I think, or if a child is like screaming and very upset and all, there's always some ways to help mitigate the situations. Maybe the insurance agents also need to like take some lessons from those industries as well, lah, right? That they're not just they're not just doing sales, there's also some form of customer service that they have to engage in also, lah.
Yeah.
And then product. Let's say, what's the term? Client recovery.
Service recovery.
Service recovery. Yeah.
Client recovery sounds a bit different.
Yeah, that sounds like extraction or taken and all that. But service recovery, lor. Like when a mother like that is very upset, then what do you do, lah? Yeah. But,
yeah, man.
Those are the big debates that people are having in Singapore.
Big debates. But yeah, like that's where it's at. I don't think that discussion is going to be carrying on over the next few weeks, unlike our first topic. So yeah, as always, if you have any thoughts on either of the topics, please head on over to our subreddit. The link is in the show notes.
Yeah.
But now, yes, are we ready for our one Shiok comment of the week?
Yeah, actually, I think the cool thing is that there have been a lot of posts and comments about people just talking about things that they hope that we talk about on the podcast and various things like that, lah, right? Including the topics today. But what was your one Shiok comment? Yeah.
My one Shiok comment was from But Then Ho 4 days ago. On the episode 301, Singapore's attitude towards 3778 shift and uproar over restaurants $50 fee for birthday cake. So the comment was that they loved the level of angst Harish brought when he said even singing a fucking song at about birthday songs, lah. And they assume that I hate fucking birthday songs with a vengeance. I actually don't know. I think my stance on birthdays have evolved over the years. I will also admit that you played a part in making me think about the point of a birthday, as in it's less about the person, but it's about bringing people together, lah. And I will say that at those bringing together of peoples, I always like singing the birthday song because it just makes the person celebrating feel fucking awkward, and I love doing that. Yeah. So I love it, man. But then, don't worry, I like birthday songs.
Can you elaborate a little bit about what was your stance on birthdays before I swooped in and gave
don't
you
take full credit, lah. Okay, you were just like a small part to play, a small part of it. No, my whole thing was like, I don't like. I find it weird organizing something just to celebrate me. Like, people always used to be, okay, I'm having a birthday party, and I was like, ugh, fuck, this feels so weird. And like when people celebrated their birthday parties and organized stuff, I mean, it's nice, but I won't deny that there were times in the past I was like, fuck lah, can't we just meet up? We have to make birthday party. But then over time, I think I still feel a little weird saying, okay, it's my birthday party, come. But I feel a little less weird about, okay, like just meeting up with friends. It just gives a bit more reason for people to gather. And I think as you get older, you realize it's not as easy to hang out with friends or people you care about. And a birthday is just a reason to bring people together.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I think I was I protested your stance on it because like a lot of times you never even inform anybody
Oh yeah, correct.
Even when we all were all working in the same office, like day to day, everything, you would not even tell people that that day was your birthday and all that lah. And I was very offended by that lah.
Yeah.
In a sense, I feel like, hey, if you are in close proximity with other people and you spend time with them, and it just happens to be, an anniversary or a milestoneable, I don't even that's a new word, milestoneable occasion lah, right? Of your day, of your life, and you are spending it with these people. I thought I always think that you should just point out
Acknowledge.
to people, acknowledge, let them know that, hey, there's this thing going on for me, and yeah lah, and for everyone, everyone can deal with a bit more reason to be happy for others or to celebrate.
So you were
for
offended?
others,
You were legit offended?
As in, yeah, and I'm more offended more because also I'm your friend, yeah. So especially if I was just your colleague and nothing more, then maybe I'll be like, oh, okay, whatever, or if I didn't like you, right, you know. But because you're a friend, I feel like these are the kind of things that friends celebrate for each other, right? Once in a while, they just buy you a drink or buy you a meal or something like that. And it's all these small interactions that add up to what being a friend means, right? And when you deny someone that chance because of your own mistaken belief that it's about you, that's the part I didn't like, yeah.
What mistaken belief? Like you just said, it is a wrong belief. It's not a right or wrong belief. It is a different belief. And maybe Terence, maybe it's a question for you. Why do you feel so angsty about this one day where you can show appreciation for me as a friend? Why not just be more appreciative on a day-to-day basis? Huh?
Because
Why not?
It comes with other baggage. Oh, I can't I can't eat meat today. That kind of thing. Then you're like, what?
Fuck you lah, okay?
How to celebrate birthday? That kind of thing.
Fuck you lah. There are eggless cakes out there, okay? There are very good vegetarian restaurants. Don't give me that shit. And my birthday falls on a Tuesday once every 7 years. So don't give me that shit.
How do you know it's every 7 years?
I assume lah. The year is an odd number. 365 days. Chances are it shifts 7 days a week. I assume.
Yeah. But
yes.
yeah lah. I think especially as you get older lah, right? You realize you can literally count the number of times that you are going to meet up with your friends before you die already.
Correct. Yeah.
So if a birthday is a reason to get everyone together, just to say, hey, how have you been? I've been good. It's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, not to add on another comment, but there was another comment about how I say the word birthday.
Birthday,
and I say birthday. Yeah, like birthday sounds so much work lah. Birthday.
Yeah, birthday.
Yeah. But what about you, man?
Cool. No, I mean, my one short comment was about from our latest podcast with Wen Bin, the head of GrabFin Singapore. I think Hello Casper was saying, the one Shiok thing about Indian mangoes. I actually had them a few days ago, and they are the sweetest, juiciest mangoes I've eaten in a long time. And he just continues waxing lyrical about Indian mangoes, which is awesome, because I think it's like I say, every time when it's cool when someone actually discovers new flavors in their life and everything. And yeah, you can get through even like your age, my age, 30s, 40. You can get through most of life and still not have tried a certain flavor, and it blows your mind when you actually try it, So I hope that moment came for Hello Casper. I'm very glad that we all got to share that moment with you in some way,
Are there Chinese mangoes?
Yeah, I'm sure China has mangoes, but they're probably not as juicy, yeah.
Oh, just more like concerned about money.
Or I don't know, gambling. They got gambling addiction.
Gambling mangoes.
Yeah, gambling mangoes. But yeah,
cool.
Worth trying. Hello Casper, thank you for sharing that experience of yours.
Yeah, cool. And what about your one Shiok thing for the past few days, man?
My one Shiok thing for the past few days. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I can. So mine was a website that I can't remember how I came across. I think it was one of those things like on Twitter, like people were saying, oh, just interesting websites to check out. And it's called readsomethinggreat.com. Incidentally enough, I found out that the person who made this is a friend of a friend, but that only came after. Like, when I first saw this website, yeah, it's called readsomething.great.com. And the whole thing is every day there will be 5 articles that are manually curated by the creator of this website that he thinks is worth reading. And thankfully, it's not just all about tech or all about productivity. It's about about history, about 100 tips for a better life, the empire and development in first millennium Europe, and it just a nice spread of articles that I found interesting the past few days that I tried it. So now it's almost becoming like every morning I just open it up and I see, oh, okay, a couple of nice articles that I wouldn't have chanced upon otherwise. And I just like that it's such a simple idea. It's made by just one person, and yeah, just check it out, man. Yeah, readsomething.great.com.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. How do you chance upon it again?
I think it was on Twitter. Like, one of those accounts I follow is, okay, here are 10 websites that you should check it out. So now Twitter is full of listicles and Twitter threads and all that, right? So I just checked out one, and I checked out a few websites. Because, I do like coming across new apps and websites and curation, like content curators and stuff like that. So I came across this, I was like, oh shit, this is a cool website. And now I think because I do bookmark articles, like I'm sure everyone does, but I assume also most people have like, oh shit, you have bookmarked so many articles, then it just becomes like this fucking pile of bookmarks that you never get to.
Yeah.
Right. So this one was just like, okay, every day just 5 articles.
Yeah.
Cool.
True.
Yeah.
My one Shiok thing is the very, very it was just one of those weekends where I just jumped into documentaries lah. But this is a documentary that I don't know if a lot of people managed to catch but it was on Netflix. It's called Cyber Hell. It was actually about the full name is Cyber Hell: Exposing an Internet Horror. It's actually I think it came out in April. It was the documentary about a case of cyberbullying on Telegram that happened in South Korea over the last couple of years. So I'm not sure if you heard about it, but it was basically about these Telegram chat groups that were set up where there were a couple of key figures who they would fish nude photos from young girls in South Korea, young school-going girls, and then after that they would stalk these girls, get their addresses, get their parents' emails and phone numbers, and then threaten to send these nude photos or indecent photos to their extended family lah. And then the girls would be like, please, no, what do you want from me? And then they, rather than just wanting money or ransom or anything like that from them, they actually make them send even more photos. They blackmail them. They ask them to pose in really degrading ways, to strip and pose and do very sexually graphic and explicit things to themselves, or even just very disgusting things like licking the toilet seat, that kind of thing, and take videos and photos of themselves, and then they would share it in these private Telegram chat groups, and then sometimes they would even invite the victim to that chat group, and then all the people in the chat group will be harassing her and saying shit to her, all in the chat group all at the same time. So it's literally imagine like you just gonna like fished in some by some guy who claimed to wanted to pay you for modeling photos or that kind of thing, and then next thing they're like, okay, if you don't send me another photo of yourself naked, I'm gonna send this to your father in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and then they quickly take something and send. So you think I'm joking? I'm really gonna send this in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this went on for years, and hundreds of girls were involved in the documentary itself, I would say it's not the most riveting, like visually riveting documentary I've watched, that's for sure. But just watching how they managed to trace these people and managed to catch them eventually, and the extent to which these people were going out of their way to remain like in the background lah. That means they didn't want to be caught, they didn't want to be identified, they didn't want to be hidden. They wanted to stay hidden. It's pretty shocking lah, you know. And it's in this day and age, it makes me very fearful for like especially if you're a father to a young girl in school and everything, how easy it is to have your life ruined by one or two like bad decisions, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty horrifying documentary. I'm very surprised that it didn't, not as many people watched it and talked about it as I thought it would. And it's such a recent thing also, you know, all these arrests that they've made were made in the last 2 years during COVID and all. So yeah, I think it's just as a warning for anyone who shares stuff on the internet lah. It can put you in a cyber hell.
Oh shit, that sounds dark as hell, man.
Yeah, it's very dark. Yeah.
What the hell?
But yeah, that's my one Shiok thing. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. What a nice way to end the podcast.
Yeah. Wow, it's been a heavy one.
Yeah, but feels good, man. Feels good.
It's
We
good.
finally scratched the itch. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys very soon.